Meghan Markle did take the dress. She's admitted it in another PR catastrophe for the Duchess of Delusion.
Dior doesn't just shut doors on people. When a fashion house that has dressed princesses, first ladies, and Hollywood royalty suddenly draws a hard line, that's not random. That's serious. Something had to go very, very wrong behind the scenes. And somehow Meghan Markle still looked stunned. In her world, designers are supposed to line up, stylists are supposed to compete, and luxury brands are supposed to treat her like she's fashion royalty. But here's the issue. The real fashion world doesn't run on ego. It runs on reputation. And when it comes to reputation, Dior allegedly checked the history and made a clean decision. No thanks. Status isn't something you declare out loud. It's something you build slowly, with trust and consistency. While Meghan was shaping a public image as a global humanitarian icon, the fashion insiders were quietly watching a different pattern unfold. And the notes they were taking? Not flattering. Stylists whispered about gowns that became complicated. Designers quietly complained about miscommunication. Borrowed dresses allegedly turned into awkward follow-ups, and more than one creative reportedly felt burned enough to step back for good. That kind of word travels fast in fashion circles. Fast. But as always, Meghan's narrative painted a different picture. She was the misunderstood one, the target, the victim of jealous insiders and unfair treatment. Because sure, Dior, the same house that dresses literal queens, just randomly decided to block her out of nowhere? That doesn't add up.
Meghan Markle's fashion feud has now been revealed. She has now been caught on camera wearing a $1,695 designer dress that she was once accused of stealing after a photo shoot, and it comes as top designers.
Luxury brands protect their image like gold. They don't move unless something forces their hand. So, what really happened behind closed doors? Whatever it was, insiders claim it was uncomfortable enough that Dior chose distance over drama. Quietly, firmly, no announcements, no second chances. The first red flag wasn't loud, it was silence. For months, Meghan's PR team reportedly pushed hard for a collaboration. Couture loans, custom gowns, any official link to the iconic fashion house. But Dior didn't respond publicly. No hints, no teasers, no warm welcome, just cold space. And in high fashion, silence speaks louder than any press release. Normally, Dior answers quickly, even if it's just a polished no. That's how high fashion keeps peace in the industry. But when it came to Meghan, there was nothing. No reply, no courtesy decline. Emails allegedly sat unanswered. Calls reportedly redirected. And then came the message no publicist ever wants to see quietly passed around fashion circles. We do not lend, collaborate, or communicate regarding this talent. No explanation, no soft language, just a firm internal block.
And it has led back to explosive allegations that she has sticky fingers with the pricey frock after wearing it in a high-profile 2022 photo shoot.
In fashion, that's not small. That's seismic. Dior doesn't blacklist lightly. This is the house that has handled icons with massive fame and strong personalities for decades without cutting ties. They dressed Marilyn Monroe, worked closely with Princess Diana, and maintain a long relationship with Jennifer Lawrence, women who carried global attention and real star power. Yet Meghan Markle, who aimed to step into the role of a modern royal fashion force, didn't even receive a polite rejection. She got what insiders describe as a complete professional freeze-out. Behind the scenes in Paris, fashion insiders weren't shocked. To them, this wasn't sudden, it was expected. One source put it bluntly, Dior protects the brand, not the celebrity. Translation? If there's even a hint of risk, drama, unreliability, wardrobe confusion, negative headlines, the house steps back immediately. And according to whispers circulating long before the official silence, Decision-makers didn't see long-term value. They allegedly saw patterns that no luxury label wants connected to its name. Reputation in couture is everything. Once doubt creeps in, doors close fast.
Those clothes are being lent by top designers of the world. And I have since heard in a more recent photo shoot of Meghan's, there was also a lot of stuff that was not returned after Meghan wore it in a very high profile photo shoot. And he reported that Meghan, at the end of that shoot, the crew that was there was sort of surprised because she had some high heeled shoes on that no longer seemed to be in the room for the shoot.
If Dior's refusal was the warning shot, the reason behind it was the real blast, and it reportedly began with a rumor the public was never meant to hear. Long before the brand went quiet, fashion insiders were already talking. Not publicly, not on record. Just low-key conversations between stylists, editors, and wardrobe directors who noticed similar experiences. No screaming headlines, just raised eyebrows and shared stories. The stories allegedly followed the same script. A designer piece would be loaned for a shoot or appearance. Then something would go off. The return would be delayed. Deadlines would pass. Gentle reminders would allegedly go unanswered, and eventually, the lender would be told the item was being kept or unavailable. Now, wardrobe professionals don't panic over one misplaced outfit. In fashion, things get mixed up all the time. But insiders claim the issue wasn't one dress. It wasn't one misunderstanding. It was frequency. And in luxury fashion, frequency turns into reputation fast. A few magazines reportedly admitted they had to follow up again and again just to retrieve jewelry or gowns. One stylist even vented privately that Meghan believed once an item had been worn, it became part of her image. Almost like wearing it meant owning it.
She thought it was mad that she couldn't take all of these clothes. So it's like, don't now, when you can do whatever you want, try and say that this is anything to do with what the British royal family do, because you never liked it. You never liked the fact that you couldn't take all of these free clothing. It had to be paid for, and of course it was paid for from the royal funding.
Others defended her, saying misunderstandings happen, and maybe assistants handled returns poorly. That explanation might work once, maybe twice. But insiders say every time a similar story surfaced, designers grew colder. Lending slowed down. Invitations dried up. Behind closed doors, it allegedly became a quiet industry warning. If you expect it back quickly, don't send it to Meghan. No screaming scandal, no front-page drama. Just a repeated pattern that people in fashion circles didn't ignore. The public never saw these conversations. But in high fashion, reputation spreads fast and without noise. A few whispers in the right rooms can shift everything overnight. Still, none of those incidents caused a full explosion. The real turning point came later, when one specific gown resurfaced and shocked people who thought the story was long buried. The moment insiders say everything snapped was tied to the now infamous emerald green gown. Meghan wore it during a high-profile shoot with Variety. The dress was dramatic, elegant, unforgettable. But it wasn't purchased. It wasn't gifted. It was reportedly loaned under a clear agreement. Wear it for the shoot, return it immediately after. According to fashion sources, once filming wrapped, the gown allegedly never made its way back. Designers waited. Stylists followed up. Emails were sent. Reminders were gentle at first, then firmer. Eventually, some insiders claim they stopped pressing to avoid open conflict. It became another unanswered question added to the pile. Then years later, shockwaves hit. Meghan reportedly appeared at a private event wearing what insiders say was the exact same gown. Not a similar design, not a remake. The same dress. Photos spread through stylist group chats within minutes.
There have now been multiple reports about Meghan taking this high-priced designer clothing, maybe with permission, but certainly not paying for it. Multiple reports, and she's doubled down with this threat against the New York Post, which actually I think confirms the story, because she's admitting she did take the dress.
Screenshots of the original wardrobe list from the Variety shoot were placed next to the new event pictures. The details allegedly matched perfectly. Fabric, cut, stitching, no debate. That single sighting reignited conversations that had been quietly simmering for years. Some stylists reacted with stunned laughter. Others were furious. The original designer, who had avoided public comment, reportedly felt embarrassed seeing the gown presented as if it had always been personal property. Fashion houses don't mind lending. It's part of the business. What they won't tolerate is ignoring the agreement. And in luxury fashion, breaking trust is the fastest way to lose the room. The green dress didn't stay just another rumor. It became the smoking gun, not gossip, not speculation. For many insiders, it was the moment that confirmed every whisper the fashion world had tried to brush aside. And once those private screenshots reached senior executives, the fallout moved fast and quiet. When the images circulated, the reaction was cold and efficient. No press conferences, no public call-outs, just silent decisions made behind showroom doors. Stylists who once pitched Meghan for campaigns suddenly had scheduling conflicts. Brands that used to chase celebrities with fresh collections stopped sending lookbooks. Emails that normally went out automatically, they simply didn't. The message wasn't announced, but it was clear. Working with Meghan was now seen as a liability. Some fashion houses reportedly added tighter clauses to lending agreements, refundable deposits, strict return deadlines, mandatory written confirmations, assistants assigned only to track high-value pieces. And when requests came tied to Meghan's name, several brands allegedly declined outright, saying inventory had limited availability.
So this is because staffers on the shoot believed the former starlet allegedly walked off with several items that day without permission, including the dress she is now proudly wearing 3 years later.
Behind every polite email sat the real meaning, not worth the risk. It didn't matter how recognizable her name was, or how strong her public profile seemed. In couture, archives are treated like museum art. Once trust cracks, it rarely repairs. And in this world, reputation is currency. Stylists' group chats reportedly grew blunt. If you need it back, don't send it. One luxury executive summarized it sharply. Drama follows her wardrobe. Harsh words, but in high fashion, perception moves faster than facts. Even brands that tried to stay neutral slowly stepped away to avoid being pulled into tension. Then came the detail that reportedly sealed it. When Dior quietly requested an internal background overview, something insiders say they rarely do, the feedback was overwhelmingly cautious. Reliability in couture is everything. If lenders feel uneasy, doors shut without warning. By this point, Meghan wasn't facing whispers anymore. She was dealing with a full industry freeze-out, and insiders claim that chill began long before royal titles and global headlines. Long before Meghan stepped into the royal spotlight, or even before her breakout on Suits, wardrobe teams were allegedly noticing patterns that made them uneasy. And those early concerns, according to fashion insiders, never fully disappeared. The costume department on Suits handled serious money, designer heels worn daily, custom blazers, luxury dresses, every single item cataloged, tagged, tracked like inventory in a vault. But crew members allegedly noticed something strange. Whenever Meghan filmed with certain high-value pieces, those were the ones most likely to vanish. After production wrapped, assistants would reportedly comb through storage trailers, double-check dry cleaning logs, and scan sign-out sheets searching for items that simply weren't there. At first, they blamed human error. Mistakes happen on busy sets, but insiders claim the same pattern repeated. and it usually involved outfits Meghan favored most. The real shock, according to people familiar with the chatter, came later, after she left the show. During early royal appearances, some former crew members claimed they spotted familiar shoes and accessories, the same styles they had logged as missing during filming. A coincidence? Maybe. But the similarities raised eyebrows behind the scenes. Some insiders brushed it off. Others quietly asked a sharper question.
None of the items are being hawked on websites. None of the items are being given for free. The royal family pay for their clothes from trusted designers, and by the way, tend to wear them over and over again. Beloved pieces.
How would wardrobe pieces from a TV production resurface at highly photographed public events unless they had been intentionally kept? When questioned privately, Meghan reportedly said she didn't want clothing she had worn to be resold or misused. Crew members countered with a simple response. If that was the concern, the items could have been purchased directly. Allegedly, no matching purchase records followed. Still, nobody wanted to confront it publicly. Calling out a rising star can end careers fast. Then came the royal transition, and insiders say the tension didn't fade. It intensified. Inside the British monarchy, wardrobe isn't just about fashion, it's protocol. Every loan documented, every gift declared, no exploiting designer access for personal benefit. Catherine, Princess of Wales, reportedly followed those rules precisely. Meghan, however, was said to prefer Hollywood-style arrangements, where brands send pieces for exposure and glamour, not paperwork and strict returns. That difference allegedly caused friction from the start. Palace staff were reportedly stunned by the volume of clothing requests and the overall value attached to certain selections. Fashion expenses climbed high enough that Charles III, who managed funding at the time, allegedly requested briefings comparing spending levels. Meanwhile, some designers were contacting palace offices asking about delayed returns, creating paperwork staff had to untangle. Meetings were reportedly held to clarify protocol, emphasizing transparency and accountability. Instead of easing tensions, insiders claim Meghan saw it as targeting, as if she were being restricted unfairly. For the royal family, this wasn't about taste. It was about structure. At that level, fashion missteps can turn into diplomatic headaches. And luxury houses were watching closely, including Dior. By the time Dior reviewed industry feedback, insiders say the decision wasn't emotional, it was strategic. Patterns, stories, the resurfaced green gown, friction with designers, palace wardrobe complaints. Each piece formed a larger picture that couture executives couldn't ignore. Dior didn't move out of jealousy, they moved out of caution. In luxury fashion, unpredictability equals risk, and risk is expensive. Meghan reportedly wanted the aura of couture royalty, but couture royalty demands discipline, professionalism, and above all, trust. And trust can't be styled, borrowed, or declared. It has to be earned. Maybe those relationships can be repaired one day. Maybe new alliances will form. Or maybe insiders will continue calling it self-inflicted damage. Time will decide that. But one thing is clear. When Dior closed that door, the shockwaves ran through the entire fashion world. If you want the full breakdown, the behind-the-scenes drama, the dress that ignited the controversy, and the chain reaction that followed, you already know what to do. Go watch the previous video, where every twist in the Dior block story is unpacked in detail. You're watching Vintage Pulse, where the truth always shines brighter than the hype. Hit like, drop your thoughts in the comments, subscribe for more deep dives, and jump straight into the next video to see how this fashion saga really began.